各位来宾，总统已经抵达会场。Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency President 赖清德。各位来宾，欢迎莅临由台湾民主基金会、驻台北以色列经济文化办事处以及德国在台协会所主办的2025国际犹太大屠杀纪念会。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2025 International Holocaust Remembrance Day ceremony, organized by Taiwan Foundation for Democracy, Israel Economic and Cultural Office in Taipei, and German Institute Taipei. 2005年，联合国大会通过将1月27日，也就是奥斯威辛集中营解放的周年，定为国际犹太大屠杀纪念日，来纪念在纳粹大屠杀中罹难的600万犹太人和其他数百万的受害者。In 2005, the United Nations designated January 27th the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz concentration camp as International Holocaust Remembrance Day to honor the 6 million Jewish victims of the Holocaust and millions of other victims of Nazism. 在台湾驻台北以色列经济文化办事处以及德国在台协会也从2016年开始每年举办纪念活动，希望让台湾的社会也能够了解这段历史和人权课题。Since 2016, the Israel Economic and Cultural Office in Taipei and German Institute Taipei have co-hosted events in Taiwan each year, not only to commemorate the International Holocaust Remembrance Day, but also for the Taiwanese society to learn more about the Holocaust and its significance in the advancement of human rights. To begin with, it is our great honor today to welcome a special guest from Israel, Ms. Orly Sela. 今天纪念会一开始，我们非常荣幸能够邀请到一位来自于以色列的特别来宾 Orly Sela 女士。Orly 是犹太大屠杀幸存者的第3代后裔，多年来她肩负着一项特别而且深刻的使命，也就是以第一人称的方式来讲述他祖母的故事，成为记忆的守护者和传承者。他是记忆传承大使计划的推动者之一，透过深情的叙述，让历史得以延续，也让记忆能够持续的发生。Orly is a third-generation descendant of a Holocaust survivor. For many years, she has carried a deeply meaningful mission. That is, to tell the life story of her grandmother in the first person, becoming both a guardian and transmitter of memory. As a key contributor to the Remembrance Ambassador in First Person Initiative, she shares these stories with great empathy and conviction, ensuring that history continues to live and that memory continues to speak. Orly 从小和她的祖母 Judith Bix 共同生活，并且也陪伴祖母走过人生的最后岁月。今天 Orly 将带来祖母的故事，不只是历史的重现，更让我们思索人性如何在极端黑暗中仍发出微光。Orly grew up living with her grandmother, Judith Bix, and was by her side through her final years. Today, Orly will share her grandmother's story, and through her words, we will hear the quiet strengths of a life lived through darkness and reflect on how light can still emerge from humanity, even in the darkest of moments.
Judith, come up for dinner. The food is already ready, it's on the table. I hear my mother, Ilona, calling me from upstairs. But I just cannot disconnect from the book that I received for my bat mitzvah from my friend Maria. The year is 1935. I love reading, mainly in the basement of our house in Bekes Shaba. It's clean and full with colorful jars of jam. Judith, come now. Janos is already sitting and we are all hungry. That's my father, Leopold, and I understand that I have to come up now. My name is Judith Bix, and I was born in Bekes Shaba in January 23. We were a secular family, patriotic Hungarians. We loved Hungary. We had a lot of friends that were not Jewish, and we went to the synagogue only on high holidays like Simchat Torah and Yom Kippur. When I was 12, I celebrated my bat mitzvah with a group of friends that were only interested in what to wear. I also really liked to paint my nails and put on red lipstick and wear nice dresses like every other girl you know. In the spring of 1938, all of our friends went to the high school to register for the major for high school. All my friends went one after the other. And when it was my turn, I went into the office and wanted to major the biology that I'd chosen. But the secretary told me that I cannot because of the Jewish laws that just came into effect. She said, you cannot study here anymore. You can go to a vocational school and study something else, like a professional school. So I went outside and I was in shock. My friends hugged me and said, we're sure that a solution would be found and we could all learn together. But tragically, of course, no solution was found. My father, who owned a leather goods store, suggested that I would go and study shoemaking because he owned a leather goods store, as I told you, and we thought that maybe in the future we will open a shoe part in the store. So I did that, even though I didn't really like it, but I went there. In 1944, we were all ordered to wear a yellow badge on every piece of clothing. The Hungarian authorities gave to the German lists of all the Jewish people in the city, and they ordered us to go to the ghetto. My parents were lucky to find work in a farm not so far, and we went there and worked for food. It was just labor without salary, and my parents, who were city people, were really not coping with the situation, but we tried to help them, me and my beloved brother Janos. We told them that maybe when things would calm down, we go back home and stay together and start to live like we normally lived. We started to hear rumors that they are taking the Jews from the ghetto by trains to an unknown destinations. My parents bought cyanide pills and told us, you two are young people, you'll fled Hungary. We don't want to burden you. We will take the pills and commit suicide. You cannot do that, I told them. Let's do it together. Stay as a family. We will help you. And one day, as I said, we go back home. And now, when I'm much older, I'm an old woman, I think maybe I shouldn't have convinced them to not commit suicide, because, as you'll hear later, my father almost made it to the liberation, but he perished from hunger. And my mom, my dear mom, Ilona, she was burned in Auschwitz. Eventually, we had to leave the farm and went to the train station area in Bekeshaba. We were there for 3 weeks in an overcrowded situation of Jews coming and coming and coming from all over the region. And then they started to put us on the trains, the famous cattle trains. I'm sorry, I'm so emotional. I don't really remember what day they put us on the train or how many days the journey took. I do remember that we never separated, my brother, my mother, my father, and me, Judith. We were really stuck together because it was so crowded inside. No windows, as I told you, it was cattle trains. It wasn't meant for human, as the trains that you all know. No food was available. I don't remember if we ate at all. No air was available as well because the small windows up there were closed. Sometimes the train stopped, but the doors never opened. There was a bucket on the side of the carriage for defecating, but we couldn't reach it, of course, because it was so crowded inside and scary. I was about 19. Yeah, it was horrible. And finally, the train came to a stop. The doors opened. The light was so bright after this darkness inside the train. Immediately heard screams of Germans, "Schnell, schnell, get out of the train." Barks, big dogs are barking. I was looking around and saw so many people wearing rags, looking inhumane. I heard screams. I saw big chimneys spitting black smoke without stopping. I thought, did I get to hell? No, it was Auschwitz. They immediately separated us to 2 rows of men and women. My brother, Janos, went with our father, and I went with my mother. We were walking, and at the end of the column, sat on a high chair, a German officer wearing a white robe. Later, I found out his name was Mengele. May his name and memory be erased forever. So, my mom suffered from the train ride so bad, so she broke her tooth, and she looked so much older than her real age was 48. So he gestured left to my mother and right to me. The only thing I remember is my mother begging him, "Das ist meine Tochter, this is my daughter," but he couldn't care less. And that was the last time I ever saw my mother. Luckily, I met my aunt and her daughter, and together we stayed in the camp in Auschwitz. Every day, Mengele arrived, sat on a high chair, and we had to go naked, and he chose women as he saw fit. Later, we found out about the experiments that he did in these women. He chose me more than once, but luckily, and I don't know how, instinctively, I managed to hide, and if not, I wasn't here to tell the story. I have stories about every hour in Auschwitz. After very few women were left in the camp, they took us again by trains to a labor camp in Germany, in Silesia. My cousin, my aunt, and me were sent to work in a factory for bomb parts for the Germans. They gave us rags to wear, and we put them on wooden soles just to make some shoes to keep us from the freezing cold. Here in Taiwan, you don't know what cold is because it's a tropical area, but just imagine if you've ever been in Europe, the cold in January, it was brutal. So it wasn't enough what we've got to wear. The food was one small loaf of bread, one dish of vegetable peels soup, and one mug of muddy gray water. All of this divided into 3. So we, of course, were quite hungry. So everything you could get and put your hand on, you would sell just to get through the day, to get some food. I didn't have anything to barter with, so I bartered the other way around. I didn't eat my bread. I kept it in my pocket. And every day I bought woolen threads, orange woolen thread, from a factory for parachutes. So I collected quite a lot of them and improvised knitting needles from my factory. And every night, because it wasn't allowed to do something for yourself, I knitted. I had a project of my own. And it became one row after another. It called me just to knit because I was so overwhelmed with the work there. So it was like a meditation to knit my project, my secret project. One row after another, and it became a sweater, a vest, that I never took it off. It was such a colorful piece in these gloomy surroundings, and it kept me warm. It was on me during the voyage to Israel, and it was on me during my pregnancy with my son Aryeh, and it was on me in my final immigration to Israel. And guess what? It's here today in Taiwan. Thank you. So that's the original sweater. As you see, it's well kept, but it's kind of lost its colors. And it's starting to, the stitches are not strong anymore, but I'm keeping it. It's here for 80 years with me. And now in Taiwan, for you to see. Yeah. The Germans started to understand that the Soviet army is approaching. So they understood also that they couldn't complete the mission of killing us all. So they stole everything they can and left. One morning we woke up to a camp. No Germans, no Nazis. We are free. The Ukrainians liberated our camp in 1945. But they also shouted at us, until now you did nothing. Go and work if you want to eat. Where can we work? Nobody got anything to give us because Europe was also in a very difficult situation. We managed to find something just to get some food stamps. And after a few weeks or a month, I don't remember, we tried and wanted to go back to Hungary. So we got some documents and begin to approach the border. I remember that we were at a big central station in Slovakia border. It was packed with the Hungarian soldiers that wanted to go back home and war prisoners, but no Jews, not at all. We stood out by our appearance. We were very skinny and bald and wore rags and full of wounds. The guards in the entrance of the station would not let us in. What would I do now? I spotted some horse traders that were moving freely across Europe. So I asked them, maybe you can help me to get home. They say, oh, I remember, one of them said, I remember that I saw a soldier from Bekeshchaba from your city. Maybe you'll find him. And miraculously, as always happened to me, miracles, I found the soldier. He held two big luggage. And I asked him, maybe you can take me with you to Bekeshchaba. So he said, okay. You will take one luggage and say that you are my wife and go on the train. So I said, wow, thank you so much. Maybe when we get to Bekeshchaba, I will repay you with maybe shoes, because as you remember, I learned how to make beautiful shoes. So he said, let's do it. And the train arrived. I went on the car with a suitcase and I sat on it. It was filled and packed, and I didn't know with what, but I imagined it was food because I was so hungry. But suddenly the train started to go and my husband wasn't there. I got panicked. What if they catch me without a ticket or documents, sitting on a luggage that is not mine? But another soldier that was on the train said that, don't worry, you'll be my wife. And we go together. So I breathed in relief. On the next station, my original husband, I saw him running and going to the car. And both of them took me under their wings. And that was a lucky thing, because this train took forever to arrive to Bekeshchaba, because it was affected by the war, so it couldn't go straight. And by nights when the train stopped, horrible things happened to the people, women that was on the train with the drunk soldiers. I don't want to even think about it. I was protected. Finally, we arrived to Bekeshchaba. And then the soldier gone. He disappeared. And I don't know his name. But maybe if I'll find him someday, I'll repay him with a beautiful pair of shoes. But I was home, and I stood there, and I was afraid to approach our house because I didn't know what I would find and who I would find there. But I started going, and from the main street, people were shouting at me, "Here's another Jew returns. We thought they killed you all, but more are coming back." But I still kept going, and I found our house. It was taken by another family. And then I saw our neighbor, and she said, "Wow, you also back?" So I asked, "Why also? Who's back?" She said, "Your brother Janos was here like 2 weeks ago. Do you know where he went?" "I think he went to Romania, to your uncle." So immediately I took a train to Romania and finally met my dear brother. I think we hugged for a whole day. He showed me the number on his hand because I don't have a number, and told me a little bit of what he did in those years, because it was too difficult for him to share the story. He told me about our dear father that was perished from hunger, as I told you. And we decided that the only place for us to go is Israel. So we went to a place in Germany that they taught us how to work in the farms of Israel, how to cultivate the land, taught us Hebrew. And then I met my husband Shmuel, and together we took a boat that was meant to take us to Israel. It was an illegal immigrant ship, and I fell pregnant during this voyage, but for these horrible conditions, I lost and miscarried. When we arrived to Haifa, the British soldiers were waiting for us on the dock with firearms, and told us we have to go to Cyprus, to interment camp. We were there for 1 year. I also fell pregnant there again, and luckily I had the chance to leave this pregnancy because it was the only chance I could have a baby, and that's my son Arya. When I was 9 months pregnant, they gave us special permission to go to Israel. And we were looking for a family, a new family, a community. So we found a village, a moshav, in the northern part of Israel called Moledet. It was a beautiful place. It is a beautiful place. And my son got married to Rina from the moshav, and they have 3 wonderful girls. And when I'm now all the time with my family and friends and community, I'm looking back and reflecting and thinking, are all those stories happened to just one woman? Thank you for listening. My name is Orly Sela, and I'm super emotional. Thank you for inviting me to Taipei. Because my grandma Judith and I had a very big and close connection. I loved her so much. We used to dress up together. And when she was gone, I was by her side. And since then, it's 20 years or something like that. I think, how can I hold her memory? And then I discovered this organization that called First Person Remembrance Ambassadors, and I studied how to give the story, like the way you heard just now. And when I'm telling this story, and I'm telling it mainly in Hebrew, but a lot in English, I feel that she's here around me, whispering in my ear and comforting me. And I hope that for a brief moment you felt her too. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Orly for sharing with us story of her grandmother in the first person. 非常谢谢 Orly 用第一人称的方式来和我们分享她祖母的故事。